Hey everyone, Shay McMurray from the Wedding Report. Thanks for joining me on this podcast video series. Today, I'm meeting with Elizabeth, and
Hello.
thanks for joining me, Elizabeth. Hey, why don't you tell us about your company, what you guys do, where you're located?
Perfect. Well, first of all, I'm very excited to be here with you. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm Elizabeth, and I actually own two wedding venues. I'm in California, in Orange County and LA County. So the Grand Theater is located in Anaheim. The Grand Theater is a big location. It's an event center. I have two ballrooms that fit 500 guests, another one
Wow,
that fits 200, and then I also have a theater, like a concert theater.
nice.
We're a big stage, sound and lighting. We host a lot of concerts with big top artists. And then that's the Grand Theater. And then I have a second location, which is a little smaller. We have two ballrooms. The Grand Ambassador Ballroom fits up to 500 guests. And then my Regency fits all the way to 130. That one's called the Rose Gardens, and it's located in LA County in the city of Whittier.
Wow, wow, crazy. Those are some big venues, 500 guests in
Oh,
one
yes.
area.
It's has a lot of moving parts. We started off with the Grand Theater first, and then through COVID, actually, we were fortunate enough to purchase our second venue.
Nice, good for you,
I
right?
know.
Find
Exactly.
opportunity, right? And go after it.
Yes. When we got the Rose Gardens, it was originally named the Ritz Garden. So there was already a banquet hall there.
Yeah.
But we remodeled everything. Like we regutted it, like new carpet, new chandeliers. So if you Google the Ritz Gardens in Whittier, you're gonna see the before pictures and then the after pictures, and it looks so different.
Wow, that's nice.
Yes.
Let me ask you, how did you get started with the original venue? What was what's the story there?
Well, it's a long story. I'll keep it short. So, my husband actually started with the Grand Theater as a restaurant in the
Really?
main ballroom.
Wow.
And I was working in sales for a company called Joel as an international sales. So I would, they started with the restaurant. A restaurant is very hard because if you don't have
Yeah.
any guests at your restaurant, you have to buy all the food, buy everything, staff it, and you don't know if people are going to go or not. So it was very challenging for him. And he would come home very stressed and so on. So I saw that and slowly I started, going to the restaurant every day and started like noticing a lot of little things. But I told myself, I was like, well, you don't know anything about the restaurant. So maybe that's the way they do things there. There was a lot of things that just didn't fit right. And I think we had a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of managers and just and hardly ever employees. So everybody that I met was a manager. It just didn't make sense. So after talking to a few people, because I'm all about if I don't know something, I'm gonna go reach out for the answer and surround me with people that have the knowledge. So I was talking to Ron actually, who was a big part of transitioning into a banquet hall, was telling me if you guys are having so many challenges with the restaurant, turn it into a banquet hall. And then I asked, like, well, tell me a little bit more about it. And the more he spoke to me about it, the more I saw it like I saw it coming. So I felt like, you know what, this is a great move because when you're at an event center banquet hall, you're gonna know in advance how many people you're gonna have, how
Yep.
many staff you're gonna need, how much food you're gonna need. So it's you're gonna pre-book in advance, so it's gonna be a lot easier. So we actually made the decision at the beginning of the year to transition it. By that time, I was still working full time. So I'm 37 now, and I believe I was like probably like maybe 25. So I would go to my full time job, like it was like a 10 to 5, and then leave my job, then go to the restaurant to try to get it going to a banquet hall. So I was literally working two jobs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so, and it was very challenging because I was also learning. I had no experience. My experience was only sales, but I was able to sell and really, I basically restaffed everything, having a full-time job. I hired salespeople. I, what I think would help me is that I studied my competitors. What were they doing that I needed to do? Because if they were successful, then that's where I needed to go. So I redid my packages. I borrowed a lot of ideas from my competitors. They already did it. Why not use them?
Yeah.
And obviously now we're here. So we're successful. We have two venues. Before it was me doing everything. If you were to book your wedding, I would be your sales coordinator, your day of planner. You would do the food tasting. I would do contracts. Now I have a team with a lot of me's that I'm able to delegate each duty
That's
to
great.
them.
Yeah.
And I finally quit my job years later. I left a really good paying job with 401k and everything because I felt that if we were going to grow, I needed to leave my comfort zone and just dive in into the unknown. But I knew I believed in myself so much that I'm like, you know what, you're going to make it work and you're going to learn it. And now I'm here.
And how many years ago was that, Elizabeth?
Oh my God, many years ago. I still remember, I don't even know how many, but it was just like a lot of years. But every single job that I've had, I felt like life has prepared me for this now.
Yeah.
Like every job, everybody that I met through my whole life has been a big influence in who I am as a woman and as a businesswoman now.
Yeah.
So I don't regret anything. I
Yeah.
love
That's
it.
amazing. I feel the same way sometimes. Like, I feel like, you talk to people, your visions kind of come alive. And as you meet different people and have different conversations, all of a sudden things just kind of start to click and you kind of move into the direction that you feel like you were supposed to go. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I felt like
Yeah.
life prepared me for this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every day, as long as you're willing to learn and pull that in, I think that's the key, right? Like, let me learn that. Oh, let me get that. Let me get this. Oh yeah, let me pull that in and learn how that works, right?
Yeah, and every mistake always taught me something.
Yes.
You know, for example, like when I was starting to build my packages, we had one salesperson before I went full time to the Grand Theater, which is our venue. And I noticed that she wasn't booking, like a lot of leads were not booking. And I asked, well, why are you not closing? Oh, you know why? Because they went to this other banquet hall that offers chivari chairs, silk satin linens, and offers all this. And I'm like, okay, so we're letting the business go somewhere else because we cannot offer that. It didn't make sense to me. And
Sure.
I said, no, we're going to start offering that because we got to find a way. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
well, it's expensive to buy all that stuff. I'm like, it doesn't matter. What do? We get the vendors and have them give us her pricing and then we'll just upsell it. So I came up with a platinum package back then and I would sell that per table. I think I sold it at $80 per table. And they would
wow.
get chivari chairs, linens, floor length, all the nice stuff that people wanted. And guess what? We
Yeah,
were able to book a lot more and
yeah,
people would not mind paying it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, cool. So you guys offer not only the venue, but you offer
Mhm.
catering and everything. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so there's other venues that you have to bring the catering. For me and my business, that doesn't really work. I care a lot about my branding and my image. So if I allow outside catering to be brought in, then if the food is not good, or if they're working with a caterer that's not as, it's not going to cook delicious food, it's not going to do everything that you need to do in the food and beverage industry, that affects my image as my banquet hall. So I like to keep everything in-house because
Okay.
I can control the quality, which is very important. I really take care of the quality of the food that we serve. And honestly, I would say that like 95% of everybody that books our venue or comes to an event, they always say, comment on the food. How good is the food? Because
Nice.
it's really, really good.
Yeah. What about like people like to drink at weddings, so what about the
Mhm.
bar service and then
Oh,
all the
yeah.
rooms stuff? Yeah.
So the bar service, the way it's been working for me is that I basically we do a cash or hosted bar. So guests have the option, or actually the client that books with us has the option of keeping it a cash or doing a combination of a hosted. We do not allow BYOB just because that gets really
Yeah.
messy. I don't, so that's something that we don't do. But hosted bar, it's basically you add a certain amount, like $1,000, and then you get a different pricing, depends on what your guest drinks, and we'll
Sure.
start deducting from there. I
Yeah.
don't really do the hourly per. I just haven't figured out that yet.
Yeah. Gotcha. And how do you find the guests right now like are accepting like a cash bar versus like just go drink?
You know what? It's weird because at my both venues, they're very different. Like my bar sales do better in Whittier than in Anaheim for some reason. It's very
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, it's very different. In Whittier, my clients don't mind adding money to the bar, and like they can spend 3 or 4 thousand.
Yeah.
In
Easy.
Anaheim, my bar sales are lower, and they drink a lot of beer, but it could be the type of clientele that I have.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it works. People like it, you know. They do have a minimum they have to spend though. Because
Okay.
I was fine, and this just got implemented maybe like a few months ago. I was finding that at parties they were not drinking, and I'm like, my bartenders wouldn't go home happy because they're not making as much
Right.
money.
Yeah.
And considering that we have challenges with staffing, you know, the whole world does, I really care about my team. You know, I want them to be happy,
Yeah,
because if
absolutely.
they're happy they're going to work 110% more for you.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, if this is a challenge, they're not happy, let's do this, let's do a bar minimum. So now they have a bar minimum that each client, when they book, they have to hit. So that kind of encouraged them to add money to the bar,
Right.
because and then otherwise if they don't reach that minimum then they have to pay for it, so they rather just add money versus not. So that
Yeah.
has been helping.
That's great because the minimum really kind of helps you pay for your staff,
Correct.
make sure they're happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what are they doing there?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Makes total sense to me. When you started out your venues, I'm sure, and discovered, you looked at all your other competitors and stuff, and you
Mm-hmm.
discovered different pricing models. What made you decide to come up with your pricing model? What are you guys doing today?
So right now we have like one package at both venues. The pricing does differ. Anaheim's a little higher and Whittier's a little lower, just because of the area, and there's a lot of different factors, but we offer the same thing. Um, it made me, because my clientele likes to pay one price. They're not the kind of clientele that's going to be like, how much is it per person? Then you have to add tax, gratuity, cleaning, and all that other fees.
Mhm.
So I switched it. So they're still doing that, but they're when they come to us, they're going to get one special event package that has different guest count. So 100, 200, 300, and so on. And the pricing changes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
Gotcha.
that one flat pricing has like my gratuity, my catering, security, tax, cleaning, wait staff, and all the other things in that one lump sum.
Gotcha. Do you find that people accepted that a little bit better than previous ways that
Oh,
you were
100%.
pricing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier for us to sell too. It's easier for my sales reps because it just avoids underpricing or mistakes. So they have that package, and it only gets tricky when they do a contract. But then I have like a spreadsheet that they have access to that breaks down everything for them.
I got you. Yeah. So it makes it easy for them to sell it. Like, they know 100 guests, this is how much it costs, end of
Exactly.
story, right?
And I think when I opened my second venue, I was trying to find like a package that I can use for both venues, because my goal obviously was to expand. So with the second venue, I'm already thinking about my third and fourth, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be a package that I can easily pass on to the next venue, and it's easier to train and
Yeah.
easier for them to learn.
Yeah, that makes sense because one of the key things to optimizing your business is optimizing your processes, right? So
Correct.
that's what you did. You looked at what was happening and you go, look, we need to optimize this because there's no way we can take this to different locations we're going to open up and
Mm-hmm.
then have to go all crazy trying to figure all this stuff out. We just make a standard process and we just roll it across everything. It makes it super easy and better, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smart way to think about it. Nice job on that one, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Let's talk about the booking process a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
what do you guys do? How does that work? And what do you guys do? Like, so someone calls you up, they come in for a tour. What do you guys do?
So, that's a great question. So, my booking process is pretty easy. So, let's say you're looking for a wedding, you might have gone to our website, fill in an inquiry form, right? Then my team, I get those leads because I like to control and see what's coming in. I
Yeah.
distribute them accordingly. And then my team immediately calls you as the same day and they introduce themselves, they schedule a walkthrough. If they don't can't get a hold of you, they'll leave you a message, they'll text you, and then they'll send you the quick selling package through email. Once you come in for a walkthrough, you'll meet with them. They'll go over all the pricing, show you the venue. They'll show you our Instagram. I have like a blueprint that everybody has to follow. That includes like looking at the napkins and basically planning your event so that you can see how great of a fit we are. Once then you might leave, obviously, then we follow up with you. But once you commit to saying yes to the venue, what happens is that we'll take all your base information, like your first, no,
Yeah.
your basic mailing address and so on. Then we actually create a contract. So the contract, a lot of people like to come to the venue and sign. So we have a very detailed contract that was made by our lawyers that have it basically breaks down how much you're paying, how much the per person, the service, and so on. And then whoever is going to be the primary contact is going to sign that contract. So once they sign, we take payments. Then we onboard you. So we onboard you through our system called Eventbrite 360, which is basically my CRM where if it's I always tell my team, ladies, if it's not an event pro, it did not happen because it's like my CRM. I
Yeah.
love the system. Have you heard about it or no?
Yeah, yeah. I know the guy that invented it, or
Oh, Bill.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I love him. He's amazing. So Eventbrite 360 is where I basically onboard you as a customer, and then we have summary charges. We keep all your files, all of our communications are in notepads, and it's now you're part of the Grand Theater or the Rose Gardens.
Excellent. That's great. Makes it easy, right? Having
Yeah.
everything in one place so you
Oh
can.
my God, yes.
What about what are you guys doing for leads right now? Like, there's, people are doing lots of different things.
Hmm.
Spend a lot of time on social media. A lot of effort on word of mouth. I would imagine that if someone comes to your event, you guys are, I mean, they see the event, they see the food, like you said earlier, like they enjoy the food,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh, we need to go there to have an event. So,
Right.
what are you guys doing for leads right now? What's working?
You know
What's
what?
not
What works
working?
best for me is actually social media, Instagram.
Yeah, nice.
Instagram really does it and word of mouth. I say word of mouth because we do such a great event, and I know we do because we have awesome reviews and we get highly recommended by our current customers to their friends and family. So that's one source. And then second, obviously Instagram. Instagram is like I boost ads. I have two, each location has one person assigned to Instagram. So they're constantly posting videos of the food, videos of, our reviews, and that generates me a lot of leads.
That's
Like every
awesome.
morning when I come in, literally, I get like 30 to 40 leads.
That's great.
We are very, very blessed.
Yeah, yeah. How often are you posting on Instagram to make that work for you guys? I mean,
So
that's a lot of effort, right?
it does, but normally we post like in the morning. There's not like a schedule because there's
Okay.
times where I'm literally in bed at midnight and then I'm going through my phone and I was like, oh, this is a cool video. Let me post it. And then all of a sudden, like I hear my Outlook on my phone just generating leads. And I look, I was like, oh, it's my video my picture just got me like two leads.
That's
So there's
awesome.
not a schedule that I follow.
Mhm. So you also you said you boost your post, right? So you put your post
Yes.
on there and then you boost them, right?
Mhm.
And
I boosted.
that's working pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It's like a 90% it works, but I don't know if Instagram changed something because I noticed that for one venue, I wasn't getting too many from Instagram, but then on the other it was. So I switched it. So what I did, I boosted through Facebook
Okay.
and then that started generating. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I have to alternate it. But I mean, social media is great.
Yeah, yeah. You got to play around with it and see what's working, right?
Yeah, and a lot of food videos really catch people's attention because I do a
Yeah,
lot
for
of
sure.
buffet videos and then pictures of the appetizers and people, obviously they see they're like, oh my God, the food looks so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, that's a big priority right now. Like the
Hmm.
location, the food, right? And
Yes,
then photography, because people really want to have a great experience. A lot of
correct.
times food helps, make that experience awesome. And so I think that I think that that's probably the reason you get a lot of like feedback on the food stuff, right? Like people are like, yeah,
Oh
let's go
yeah.
check it out.
I always tell everybody when they come in, I always, and this is my same thing that I tell everybody because it's true. I'm like, have you gone to other venues where you have that chicken that you cut and it's so dry? They're like, oh yeah. I was like, well, I can guarantee you, I was like, that our chicken, if you select that, it's not dry. It's super juicy. You can cut it with like your knife, it's very tender. And then people, when they actually, their event takes place, it depends at what location I'm in, right? I'll always ask the client, I was like, so what do you think about the food? They're like, wow, it's exactly the same way that we had at the tasting. It's even better. I was like, oh, that's great. So
Nice.
that's important.
So my last question for you, Elizabeth,
Yes.
what would you, if you had to go back 3 to 5 years, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my God, what would I tell myself? I would tell myself, I never gave up, that's for sure, you know. I would just tell myself, you know what, Liz, you know, when things get challenging, you always have to like keep pushing, never stop learning, you know, because that's important. The minute you stop learning, you kind of close your doors, and just, you know, keep going. That's what I would just tell myself, you know.
Keep
You
going.
and actually every day I have to motivate myself, you know, because I lead a sales team. So if I'm not motivated, then how do I expect them to get motivated?
Yeah, yeah.
So I always tell my team, like, ladies, you know, have goals, you know, because if you have goals, then you're gonna want to like, how are you gonna get to your goals, you know, whether it's personal, work related, and so on. So I think that's what I would tell myself. Just keep pushing, never give up. And then, you know, I guess always make sure that I acknowledge everything that I've done because I feel like at 37 I've done a lot. So always I can give myself like, you know, a little hug here
That's
and
right.
there
Yeah, yeah.
because
Don't forget about
like
that. Yeah.
yes, that's important, especially in this industry. It's hard to balance personal and business, right? Because when you're so focused on business, sometimes you leave yourself behind. And I think that's what happened to me because I was so focused on growing, growing, growing. And then it's like, oh, I forgot about myself.
Yeah, you got to
But
take care of yourself. Yeah.
take care of yourself. So that's another thing I would give to any business owner. It's like never forget about yourself and always acknowledge that yourself that you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Do you feel like with the motivation thing, I feel like that's a big challenge for a lot of business owners, right?
Mhm.
Especially if you're a small business.
Right.
Um, do you feel like the goals part of that is the thing that kind of keeps you motivated? Like you just got to stay focused on your goal, right? Because otherwise, you can really do some mental damage to yourself if you don't stay focused on your goal, I
Oh
think.
yeah, no, definitely. With my sales team, we have contests. So that's another thing that if you have time, I'd like to share. So I'll have contests between venues and between the girls. So
Okay.
basically I post them weekly. It's how many, and it's very simple. How many have they booked, what their commission is, and how many leads they have. And I share their numbers. And that motivates them because they see each other's numbers. So the people that are on the bottom, they're like, holy shit, I need to be on the top, you know? And I reward them. So whoever books more for every single month, they get I believe I do like a $350 gift card of their choice. And
Nice.
then the office that books more together, they get like an office outing. So
Nice.
and it's nice and they're motivated, but I also like I have a conference call with them at the end of the month where I share basically who won, and then I have my whoever's my highest performer share what has helped them
Oh, good.
book all these because I tell the girls I tell girls because it's a group of females that work for me.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, ladies, you guys have to encourage yourselves. I never, yes, we're in sales. Yes, we want to book, but at the end of the day, we're all working for the same company. We all have to work together. Always be open to learning from each other because that's very important and support each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's very
agree. You
smart.
should be doing that as a team because you are a team, right? And if you're not a team, then that becomes a big challenge.
Yeah,
So,
and I want my girls to come to work every single day, loving coming to work, you know?
yes, absolutely.
And I
Agree
try
with you.
to foster a very positive environment where I celebrate them, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's like giving them something or something they want or whatever it is to encourage them to keep moving forward, you know?
Good. Yeah. Well, that's great. You seem very motivated, and I'm glad you're doing that, Elizabeth, because you're being a good leader by helping them and guiding them and directing them. So,
Oh, thank
thumbs
you.
up.
Thank you. High five.
High five. Hey, thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Okay.